All right, how's everybody doing today? So, on today's episode, I want to cover the top 10 things killing men's natural testosterone levels. So, these are things that I've learned over the years or noticed either working with my athletes and my own practical experience and application, as well as with clients and from people much smarter in this realm or this niche of the industry than myself. So, I hope that, or my hope is that some of you guys or girls potentially can get some benefit out of this list on some of the things to avoid or maybe some lifestyle habits to consider adding into your current regimen that may benefit you in the long run. Some of the benefits of having a high natural testosterone level obviously includes increased muscle mass, increasing the potential to put on additional muscle mass, uh, your sex drive increasing, libido, your overall cognitive awareness and thinking, less brain fog, um, energy and mood support, right? So testosterone, especially for males, plays a huge role in a cascade of things that make us feel how we're supposed to feel. And a lack of testosterone plays a large role in, I believe, in why a large part of males are suffering from depression, anxiety, low energy levels. Anyways, without further ado, let's hop right in here. So, what exactly is testosterone? Testosterone is primarily the male sex hormone. It's antagonistic to its partner in crime, estrogen, right, which is the primary female hormone. Both sexes have both hormones. Men obviously have a much higher testosterone level than estrogen, and females have a much higher estrogen level than testosterone. You need both to be able to function optimally, either as a male or a female, or anything in between that you may consider yourself. So, as I mentioned before, females produce testosterone in small amounts. Females are producing them from their adrenal glands and ovaries, and uh, men are producing and or secreting rather testosterone from their adrenal cortex as well as their testes. In particular, as young boys go through puberty is when their testosterone levels naturally start to spike up. And that phase from when they go through puberty all the way up to, for some guys, into 30, for a lot of guys, at least until 23 to 25, their testosterone levels are going to keep spiking up and they'll be in the perfect anabolic window if you were to introduce them to resistance training or any type of training that could elicit change in the body. We're looking at, in that time frame in particular, an increase in lean body mass, an increase in bone density, increase in joint elasticity, increase in sex drive and libido. Grown men continue to make testosterone all the way up to about 35, and around 32 to 35 is when most men's testosterone levels tend to drop about a percentage or two each year for the rest of their life. Before, testosterone plays a huge role in everything from our energy, sex drive, mood, strength, muscle mass, aggression, red blood cell count, white blood cell, uh, cognitive thinking ability, and preventing things like brain fog. So there's been a massive decline over the last 60 years or so, pretty much since World War II and the introduction of microplastics into the environment, which has led to a big drop in men's natural testosterone level production. As you can see here, I put a graph up of men's testosterone levels have dropped every decade since the 70s, starting from 1975 at averaging about 575 nanograms per deciliter, down to 2025, in which we're at about 300 nanograms per deciliter. To put in perspective, most physicians would consider a natural testosterone level in the below 300s, we'll say 250 and below, for a male as extremely low. That would be almost the equivalent of a female's natural testosterone levels. So healthy men, as I mentioned before, are experiencing a gradual decline of testosterone of about 1 to 2% per year from 35 onwards. Males' test levels have dropped exponentially since World War II and the introduction of microplastics, which we're going to get into further. Other variables that are impacting men's natural testosterone levels include obesity, sedentary lifestyles, lack of resistance training, lack of any type of training, poor sleeping habits, exposure to BPAs, EPAs, and other microplastics, the introduction of pornography to males, or may not feel the symptoms that come with chronic low testosterone levels, although clients that I've worked with seem to have noticed them more so on an energy and emotional side. Feelings of depression, hopelessness, constantly anxious. Um, Another often undiscussed way that your testosterone levels can be impacted is damage to the spinal cord over time. In patients with spinal cord injuries or spinal cord fractures, you may not experience low testosterone levels until maybe 5 to 10 years post injury. So, with something like this, is when you might want to consider hopping onto testosterone replacement therapy when and if those symptoms of chronic low testosterone as a male are present. That's a conversation for another day. So I will be covering that a little bit more in depth, but for now, we're going to focus on this. All right. So, number one on the list, testosterone killer number one, chronically low calories. Guys, if you're eating like a squirrel, then you will have the testosterone levels of a squirrel. I actually don't know what the testosterone levels of the squirrel are, but I imagine a human males is supposed to be much higher. So the reason why chronically low calories are going to negatively impact your natural test production. When there's low energy that is bioavailable to the body, this is going to decrease your body's LH hormone production, luteinizing hormone, right? That is going to directly impact your body's ability to produce free testosterone from both the testes as well as the adrenal cortex. So a real world application or implication of this would be guys that are on a cutting diet or calorie deficit for way too long. I've seen many fitness influencers cover this topic of they were below 10% body fat and they feel like crap. They're tired, depressed, cold all the time. And yes, you do look incredible when you're that lean, but it's only sustainable for a small window of time before your hormones start falling out of whack. So some of these factors that are going to be playing into these chronically low calories negatively impacting your natural testosterone productions is going to include low carb diets. And I'm talking extreme low carb diets. Intermittent fasting without proper planning, stimulant usage or overusage, right? That's going to lead to CNS fatigue as well as adrenal fatigue. So I'm talking about too much caffeine, my guys that really overdo it with the pre-workout. So fortunately, this is a simple fix. All we have to do is balance out those calories, right? We want to have enough calories coming in that we are able to produce the results that we want to produce in the gym, right? We can keep our body fats relatively low as is by increasing our muscle mass, right? Which is going to help drive our metabolism in the upwards direction. But we can only do that if we're providing the body enough fuel to put ourselves in the best position to pack on more muscle mass. So try and keep your maintenance at a slightly higher calories than if you're a guy at below 2K calories, we got to have a discussion as to why that is, because unless you're like a midget, that is way too low. To put it in perspective, when I'm preparing for my bodybuilding competitions, I'm not hitting sub 2K calories until the last 2 weeks. And that's if it's needed. If it's needed, right? Like that's me starting my cut at around 173 pounds and getting up there at around 155, right? There's few scenarios where I would recommend that an adult male go that low in calories. And again, it's only for a short window. So, testosterone killer number two, poor sleep. 50 to 70% of your body's natural production of testosterone occurs during your sleep cycle, in particular during your deep sleep, REM sleep cycle. Your body typically needs, for the average male, anywhere from 7 to 9 hours. You could slot in for some people, if you're an outlier, get away with the 6 to 8. I know I am pretty notorious for getting not necessarily the most sleep. I think that's kind of body dependent, but that's a conversation for another day. So there's very few people that can operate genetically at less than 6 hours of sleep while also still maintaining natural testosterone production levels. So this is another easy fix. What we're going to do is we want to set up a dark room. We want to advance our sleeping habits, right? Whether it's I always take a hot shower before I go to sleep, or I always, set the room to a certain temperature before I sleep. If I'm staying in a hotel, I'll unplug the hotel alarm and I'll put a towel underneath the door, right, to prevent any light from coming in. Another good tactic you can use that if you find you're a little restless before you sleep is working on some sort of yoga nidra or NSDR technique. in terms of the world of supplements, things you could take include melatonin, anywhere from 1 to 3 milligrams, no more than 5 milligrams. You don't want to overdo it with that. It actually will have the opposite effect of what you're looking for. One of my personal favorites has been magnesium glycinate, anywhere from 2 to 400 milligrams. Take a little bit of zinc. I like to take some NAC, N-acetylcysteine, NAC. I usually take anywhere from 600 to 1,200 milligrams there. Valerian root is another really good one. Magnesium threonate and CBD or hemp oil, to name a few. So those are the options you have that can help improve your sleep, right? And if nothing else, if you can't increase the duration that you're able to sleep, like for example, that plays a large role into my schedule, my early mornings and late nights with the personal training and coaching. So if you can't increase the duration of your sleep, try and find ways to improve the quality of your sleep, right? Even if it's just putting something over your eyes to help keep your eyes from, or keep light from accessing your eyes as you go to sleep, right? And obviously be careful with blue light, right? So your phones, TV screens, things like that. Okay, testosterone killer number 3. Being chronically overstressed is a great way to increase your cortisol levels and decrease your natural testosterone production, right? So cortisol and testosterone have an antagonistic relationship. Um, as cortisol increases, natural testosterone levels are going to decrease. What is cortisol? Cortisol is your long-term stress hormone, right? Cortisol is going to decrease your appetite. It's going to throw your sleep out of whack. Perfect way that I describe cortisol to my students is, when you get through your final exam period in college and you've been barely eating, barely sleeping, always studying, you're constantly agitated and in this feeling of fight or flight, that is your cortisol levels through the roof. And usually you tend to get sick after that final sleep period. And that's why. It's because when your cortisol level, your long-term stress hormone, is too high for too long, your body will begin to be overworked, over fatigued, which could lead to a poor immune response to antigens that are entering the body. So cortisol, here's some key points on cortisol, the long-term stress hormone, and what exactly it does. It's a steroid hormone produced by the adrenal cortex as well. This is your body's primary stress hormone. It's going to help regulate blood sugar, blood pressure, and inflammation. It does this by increasing blood sugar, which provides quick energy releases during stressful periods. Again, think that fight or flight response or that anxious response. Unfortunately, what cortisol also will do, as I was mentioning before, is going to suppress your immune system during short-term threats. And that's typically why you'll get sick after a finals exam week. It follows a daily rhythm with the body. It's the highest in the morning. That's actually what gets you up and out of bed, right? And it should be dropping throughout the day. And it should definitely be at its lowest point as you enter your deep sleep, right? So this is going to help your body respond to physical and mental stress. But if it's not managed, or if you're overdoing it with stimulants like caffeine, then that is going to continue to drive your cortisol levels up, which is going to make it really hard to continue to build muscle because you're directly negating your body's ability to produce testosterone. All right, testosterone killer number 4. Too much cardio, overlong cardio sessions. This is one that's kind of a mixed bag, but my take on it, having spoken to multiple people in the industry, as well as what I've seen with my clients in particular, is when we're overdoing it with the cardio, it's really difficult to continue building skeletal muscle mass. Is it possible? In theory, absolutely. If you can get in enough maintenance calories in conjunction with the cardio and the strength training that you're doing, and still remain in a slight surplus, you should continue to be putting on muscle, in which case your natural testosterone levels would not be impacted, or else you wouldn't be able to continue putting on that muscle. Now, most people have a hard time hitting their maintenance calories, or the true maintenance calories they should be at, without the cardio, just even without the strength training, right? So you might feel hungrier by strength training, but you still have to eat the food to get it in, right? And I don't think necessarily that cardio is going to increase your appetite the way strength training would. So it's a catch-22. So not to get too into it, but you can kind of view it like this. So the mechanism of action, how this is going to work is Excessive cardio work is going to increase your cortisol level, right? And your body's response to cortisol, which is inevitably going to lead to muscle catabolism. If you are not able to get in enough of those maintenance calories, that is going to help get you out of that high cortisol state, right? So this is a super simple fix. Increase those maintenance calories or decrease the cardio. Keep it at a strict 2 to 3 sessions per week based on your goals of 25 to 40 minutes. Mix it up with intensities, right? Anywhere from LISS, long steady state cardio, HIIT cardio, interval training. Then you're going to avoid those elevated cortisol issues, which is going to lead to burnout, overtraining syndrome, reduced recovery, and a poor hormonal panel. Testosterone killer number 5, too little strength training, or we'll say too little resistance training rather. So there's a lot of research that has supported and proved over the years that resistance training, in particular heavy compound training and pushing yourself in that arena, is going to naturally boost your testosterone levels. That makes perfect sense when you take into account if you do those activities and you're eating correctly, getting in enough protein and maintenance calories, you should be putting on additional muscle mass and strength, right? So if you're only strength training once a week or twice a week and your natural testosterone levels are still chronically low, out of range of what you'd like, increase those strength training sessions. Increase your split to a 3 to 5 day split, right? I typically recommend a minimum of 3 days a week for men. For some females, so you get away with 2 times a week. And in terms of adult males, as you age, and I'm saying more like at grandpa level, you could probably get away with 2 times a week, being that your body has already naturally decreased its testosterone production a good amount by the time you hit 60. So the matter of your eating, recovery habits is going to be highly indicative of how effective those days of resistance training are in order for you to continue progressing and maintaining your healthy hormone panel levels, in particular with testosterone production. Okay, testosterone killer number 6, low fat intake. Cholesterol is the building block for testosterone, right? So this is a super easy fix, right? You want to keep your fat at a moderate to low level, but still in a healthy range. For most males, that's slotting you at the 20 to 30% of your total maintenance calories, right? To put it in perspective, as I'm preparing for a show, that number drops to 10%, right? So to get that leaned out, I'm at 10%. To walk around at a healthy body fat percentage and maximum muscle and maximum testosterone levels is higher than that. So being that cholesterol is the raw material for building testosterone, you want to have healthy fats in your diet, right? Eggs, egg whites, egg yolks in particular, fish oil, salmon oil, krill oil, eating salmon, tuna, things like that, getting in your omega-3 fatty acids, all of those are going to play a huge role in your body's ability to have raw resources and materials to build the testosterone in the first place. All right, testosterone killer number 7, vitamin D deficiencies. This is one that a lot of people these days are deficient in, both males and females. So vitamin D is one of the hormone precursors in the production of testosterone, right? You get vitamin D, you can either get it through supplementation or from the natural aura of the sun. What is vitamin D's impact on performance? Okay, so low vitamin D is going to lead to a decrease in muscle function, decrease in protein synthesis, which is going to impact our ability to continue building muscle. And it's also going to lead to a slight decrease in our body's ability to produce power, right? So low vitamin D levels in athletes has been shown to decrease power expression, like in their vertical jump, the shuttle run, triple hops, and their squat scores. Low levels is going to lead to muscle weakness and tenderness, as well as opening up to the potential of injury and slower recovery. So you're at a higher risk of falls, breaks, fractures, and bone weakness, arthritis, tendonitis, immune deficiencies, etc. Vitamin D, if you're deficient, it's gonna impact your body's ability to fight off and restore inflammation levels in the joints, right? So this is now going to impact your bones, muscles, nerves, and immune function. So this is a super easy fix. Try and get out in the sun more. I try to start my day. I always start my day with cardio, right? I try my best to do my cardio outside. I know up here in New Jersey, it can get pretty cold in the winter, so I'm not saying you have to do that every day, but that's a great option. A good one is to go for a 20-minute walk every day. I go for a minimum of 20-minute walk every single day to try and get my sunlight, right? Because especially with my setup here, and then I'm in indoors at Stevens, um, then I'm indoors coaching, right? Or maybe then I'll be coaching sessions that are at night outside. I may have gone the whole day without being in direct sun contact. So those are things that are super important, right? Take a look at your daily living arrangements and see if you can try and get some more time for sunlight in there, especially for my work from home people. And if you're going to supplement with vitamin D3, take anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 IU. And if you're going to take a calcium pill, buy one that is calcium plus vitamin D3 because calcium can only operate effectively in the body if you're taking it, assuming for your bone and joint health, if it's synthesized with enough vitamin D3. And if you're deficient in it, essentially that calcium pill is doing nothing. And it's kind of a big one. So you wanted to do something, right? All right. Testosterone killer number 8, alcohol. This is a big one. How alcohol is going to impact your testosterone levels. So some of the things that alcohol is going to do to impact testosterone levels, disrupting your HPG axis, right? That's the axis that tells your body how much testosterone needs to produce and when to peel back. So a disrupted HPG axis is going to lead to impaired testosterone and sperm production. It's also going to damage your Leydig cells, right? Those are important. Those are your testosterone producing cells. Alcohol also depletes your body's NAD plus levels, right? So your body uses NAD plus to metabolize alcohol, leaving less for testosterone synthesis. Alcohol raises the body's cortisol levels, which is then going to suppress testosterone. Alcohol raises estrogen levels in men, which is then going to throw off your hormone balance, indirectly leading to a decrease in natural testosterone. And alcohol, as most people know, is not very good for your liver. So it's going to negatively impact your liver function, which is going to lead to negatively impacting liver enzyme production, which is going to lead to poor hormone metabolism, as well as a decrease in testosterone. Most of us know that alcohol is going to impact the liver in a negative way, right? So it impairs your liver function, right? It's going to mess up how your body goes about producing its liver enzymes, and it's going to lead to poor hormone metabolism regulation and indirectly lead to a decrease in testosterone production. So some symptoms to look out for if alcohol is the reason that you have chronically low testosterone. Decreased sex drive, excuse me, these are some symptoms to look out for if you have chronically low testosterone and believe that alcohol may be contributing to that. Look out for a decrease in libido and sex drive. Look out for ED, erectile dysfunction. Look out for ejaculation issues, decreases in muscle mass, increases in body fat percentage, decreases in energy and mood, decrease in body and facial hair, overall fatigue and systemic weakness in the body, a decrease in bone density, so an increase in risk to injury, as well as an increase in anxiety levels over time. All right, testosterone killer number 9, BPA and microplastics. So what are BPA and microplastics and how do they impact your body's testosterone production negatively? So these act as xenoestrogens, right? So they're going to mimic the estrogen hormone. Keep that in mind. By doing so, they are going to offset the HPG access, which is going to lead to a decrease in luteinizing hormone, which is then going to lead to a direct decrease in natural testosterone production, right? This is going to damage Leydig cells again, right? Those are the testosterone producing cells in the body. This is going to lead to an increase in aromatization, right? That is the conversion of testosterone to estrogen. And it's going to lead to an increase in inflammation and oxidative stress in the testes over time. Microplastics. Microplastics are carrying BPA and phenolphthalates, right? These are going to enter the bloodstream and going to lead to chronic inflammation and a decrease in testosterone. A perfect example of this would be, I talk about this a lot with my students and clients, the ink on receipts that you receive at like a store, like a 7-Eleven or something. that ink is BPA, and that's going to seep through the skin. It has a very high affinity in terms of its absorption rate. So when that enters your bloodstream, that is directly going to start impacting your HPG access and your natural testosterone production. These are strong anti-androgens, right? They're going to impact your testosterone producing enzymes. They're going to impact the Leydig cells, luteinizing hormone, lowering total and free testosterone levels, right? So, and all it needs is 2 to 3 seconds of contact with something like BPA or BPS that's going to be absorbed through the skin, right? A lot of fertilizers have these as well. And if you were to get your blood tested right after, there would be a measurable BPA spike. Another one is certain hand sanitizers, right? This leads to the absorption is increased by 100-fold because they're killing the bacteria on your hands that could potentially prevent the BPA from being absorbed. So this is going to lead to a direct estrogenic effect, which is going to suppress your testosterone levels over time. All right, and last but not least, the testosterone killer number 10, low activity and sedentary lifestyles. So how are these going to impact your body's ability to produce testosterone naturally? Well, let's focus on how it's going to do it hormonally, right? Low energy expenditure, low activity levels, and thus a sedentary lifestyle is going to lead to a decrease in luteinizing hormone signaling, which is then going to lead to a direct decrease in your body's natural testosterone production, right? That makes sense because of how inactive you are. This is indirectly going to lead to an increase in cortisol levels due to the inactivity. That's why you tend to feel anxious when you're not working out. Increased cortisol levels are going to arise due to inactivity with the body. This is going to further suppress testosterone. This is also going to decrease growth hormone and DHT levels in the body, which is going to lead to an overall weaker androgenic profile, right? That's all the things that play into the masculine effects that testosterone can produce on a male. So in terms of body composition changes, an increase in body fat is going to occur due to low activity and sedentary lifestyles, right? Increase fat deposition. From there, that's going to lead to an increase in aromatization of testosterone converting to estrogen. That's typically why you'll see most of you, I imagine, have yet to meet a very obese person that is also very, very strong. And I imagine most people here, at least, have not met someone who is very, very, very strong and very fat. Now you know why. So this overall decrease in muscle mass, right, and the body's ability to create muscle mass is going to lead to a lower baseline of testosterone demand. And that's how you end up with these people that have like plus 250 nanograms in terms of their natural testosterone productions as a male. Haven't abused PADs or anything. Their body is downregulated so much due to their inactivity. In terms of how the sedentary lifestyle is going to impact your energy levels, right? So from a mitochondrial and circulation standpoint, this is going to lead to poor blood flow. It's also going to lead to potential blood clotting and reduced testicular function over time. This is also going to lead to a decrease in mitochondrial activity, which is going to lead to a decrease in energy production for the cell, therefore less energy for hormone synthesis. So there's certainly going to be less energy for conversion to testosterone. And in terms of lifestyle factors, more sitting is equal to less sunlight, which is equal to less vitamin D, which is equal to less testosterone over time. Low movement habits is going to lead to poor sleep quality, increases in anxiety, decreases in your natural nightly testosterone spikes as you enter that deep REM sleep. And it's going to often come in conjunction with poor diet, stress, and other poor lifestyle choices, which is going to further decrease your body's natural testosterone production. All right, so now that we went over all the ways or the top 10 ways rather, that you can screw up your natural testosterone levels, let's go over an action plan on how you can improve them without taking steroids. So first one, sleep. Got to have a game plan, right? Build a nighttime ritual, whether it's taking a hot shower, doing a little yoga nidra. Make sure to sleep 7 to 9 hours, right? Or 6 to 8 hours, case dependent. If you can't increase the duration of your sleep, try to increase the quality of your sleep. And remember the supplements you have on deck: magnesium glycinate, magnesium threonate, valerian root, melatonin in small doses. I've even heard of people taking lithium in microdoses to help their anxiety and help them sleep, right? Other ones like other anxiolytics that you could take. NAC is going to have a slight anxiolytic effect, right? Bus bar is that is an anxiolytic. So if you struggle with anxiety issues, you can take that, and that should help you wind down before you go to sleep. Limit your alcohol consumption, right? That is probably the number one thing that is going to impact your testosterone levels in the short term immediately, right? Um, Everybody feels like crap, male or female, after a long night of drinking. It's also really it's essentially scratching that night's sleep out from the calendar. Um, Shoot to strength train or resistance train 3 to 5 times a week. Eat anywhere from 20 to 30% of healthy fats in your diets, right? Healthy cholesterols, virgin olive oils, nuts, fish oils, krill oil, tuna, salmon, tilapia. Make sure you're getting in vitamin D. Make sure you're getting in magnesium. Make sure you're getting in the zinc. Shoot to get in 20 minutes of walking outside in sunlight so that you're getting some authentic vitamin D. Keep an eye on your cardio. Don't overdo it there. If you are going to do the cardio with the strength training, make sure you're getting in enough maintenance calories that you're not constantly in a calorie deficit, which is going to lead to a low body percentage in long term, which is going to decrease your natural testosterone production, right? Increase your knee count. Find ways to reduce your chronic stress levels. Avoid microplastics. Avoid those receipts. Avoid BPAs. Keep your calories in the appropriate maintenance phase that they need. Testosterone optimization from a natural standpoint isn't about just one quick fix. It's finding these little lifestyle habits that you can change and little things that you can add in over time that are going to make a huge difference. My closing message: small wins over hacks, build daily momentum. And I have yet to see with my clients going through a natural testosterone production protocol, I've yet to see one that wasn't able to increase their natural testosterone levels at least moderately, some of which exponentially, right? Because if you're chronically getting 4 to 5 hours of sleep every night because you're on your cell phone till 1 a.m. and you have to be up at 6, it doesn't matter how much training you do. Your testosterone levels will always be impacted. If you're constantly slamming the stimulants with caffeine, then yeah, your cortisol levels really will always be through the roof and your natural testosterone levels will show it. So that's what I mean is dial in on your routine, find these areas where you can kind of bridge the gap on what we discussed and make the appropriate changes, and you're going to feel a difference in no time. Trust me. So, anyways, this is my first time doing this, so I just want to say thank you for anyone that tunes in, and I'm really looking forward to any feedback you may have for me. I'm really excited to hopefully be a little bit more vocal. Alrighty, so there you have it. The top 10 things you can do to help prevent your natural testosterone levels from crashing. I hope this video is of some use to some of you guys out there. And if you need help, reach out. I'll put my contact information in the comments below. And best of luck.